Facebook ads. They're all around you. From the time you check your Instagram feed first thing in the morning, to the time you watch your last cat video before you go off to sleep. They make you buy stuff. They make you watch stuff. They make you like stuff. But why is it that some ads make you go weak in the knees, while some just outright make you want to pull out your hair? Short answer? It's a seamless melange of targeting and content. Want the long answer? Let's find out as we deep dive into the elusive world of Facebook ads with the master himself, Jordan Platten. This Wednesday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Only on invideo.io/you-and-me.
Steve Dotto here. How the heck y'all doing this fine day? And welcome to Just Between You and Me. I am some kind of seriously thrilled that you're all joining us today. I'm looking forward to this topic because I always learn there's so much to it's because Facebook keeps changing the rules so much that just when you think you understand this stuff, there's a whole bunch of new stuff you have to learn. So I'm looking forward to welcoming Jordan Platten onto the show today to teach both you and me about what's happening in the world of Facebook ads, because like it or not, we all need them. Although they're certainly in the topic these days with all the boycott going on. We won't be dealing with that issue today, but it's certainly topical from that perspective as well. Hey, let me give you a little bit of an idea of what's going to happen for the rest of this broadcast today and how you can help out. Now, if you're viewing us on YouTube or Facebook or some of the other social platforms, it's a challenge when you're multi-streaming a show like this to pull all the comments together and to kind of form a sense of community. So we have a solution for you as far as that's concerned. If you point your browser to invideo.io/you-and-me, invideo.io/you-and-me, you can view this live stream there at the InVideo, who are our benefactors for this show. You can view it at their page, and you can engage in a group chat that's happening there. And all of the replays are also there. So that is the home base for this particular show. We certainly you can still watch it wherever you want, but it's just we might miss your comments. We might not be able to engage with you as much as far as chat goes if you happen to be watching in another location. So I encourage you to drop by and visit us at invideo.io/you-and-me. As well, if you'd be so kind to help us share this message. This is going to be a great topic, lots of deep educational content and knowledge that we're going to be sharing with you guys today. So if you'd be so kind as to share it in social to help us with the algorithm gods, we appreciate that as well. So let me talk about Jordan. Jordan I was aware of him on Facebook and looking at him, but still waters run deep. He's got an awful lot going. There's an awful lot happening in the Jordan Platten universe. He has an academy where he teaches social media agency, people how to create a social media agency, as well as a very vibrant social media presence himself, as well as running his own social media agency. So he's really looking at holistically the whole picture. That's one of the challenges we have when we look at something, a vertical topic like Facebook ads, is making sure that we look at it holistically with is a part of our entire social media strategy. So we'll challenge Jordan on that and make sure that he helps us out seeing that today. So he is also the founder of the affluence.co, which is their website, which has links to all of their different free content as well as their paid content as far as online courses, etc. And he's the author of a book called The 15-Minute Agency. I think it takes more than 15 minutes to read, though. But let's bring on Jordan, shall we? That's time to do it. So, all right. So without any further ado, let us start with our conversation on Facebook ads with Jordan Platten. Jordan, how the heck are you doing this fine day?
I'm very well, thank you, Steve. How are you?
I'm good. Now, I understand congratulations are in order that you've just suddenly become a homeowner of some sort.
Not too long ago. I literally just moved into a new house. That's always exciting.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry,
and stressful at the same time.
Is that where you're broadcasting from? You're setting up your studio?
I am, yeah. I'm just sat down in the office at the moment. I'm yet to put some nice art and stuff on the walls, but excuse a little bit of a naked room at the moment.
Yeah, are you gonna paint the wall a different color?
No, I think I'll keep it white. Like I'm a bit of a minimalist, so I think I'll paint it white. But I want to put like some egotistical plaques, like a YouTube 100K award when we get there.
Yeah, I could take a picture of mine and send it to you if you want. You won't be able to tell if you did get a good, nice, high definition print put in the back. We call them "I love me" walls.
Yeah, that's what I need.
in appreciation for you doing this, etc. Well, welcome aboard, and thanks for taking on this challenging topic. So give us a little bit of your background as far as so did you start in the business by running a social media agency? What was your introduction into the whole marketing side?
I did. So I've always been involved in corporate sales before I started my business. Corporate sales is always very closely linked to marketing. So I was actually selling advertisement packages back for big construction companies over in the Middle East for online publications. And I wanted to work for myself. I ended up launching a digital marketing agency of my own about 2.5 years ago now. We scaled it up and we were just running Facebook ads as our core service. Literally all of our first 10 to 20 clients was or just Facebook ads alone and social media management. So we had a lot of early on success with that agency. We then launched a training business because we started putting out content on YouTube. Loads of people asking us for kind of what our secret sauce was in the agency. How were we signing up clients? How were we getting great results and good return on investment?
Okay.
And so we then launched a training business, and this kind of brought me up to today and you guys reaching out and having a relatively large influence on Facebook ad world, which is really exciting. So, well,
your name rose to the top in what I consider to be one of the most competitive spaces online, because everybody needs to learn more about Facebook ads. It's almost, I think most people have a love-hate relationship with Facebook. Mine might tend more towards a hate-hate relationship, but but they're a necessary evil in so many of our online businesses, for sure, because nobody else has the reach. And at the end of the day, nobody else, well, maybe Google does, but they don't. But nobody else knows as much about us as Facebook.
Yeah, probably fair? Facebook do know more than Google. I would say that's a fair judgment.
Yeah, it's scary. It's scary, but it's also tremendously efficient. And so just kind of as an overarching thing, one of the things that I hear over and over again from different Facebook forums that I listen to or videos is, at the end of the day, trusting Facebook, and I know that sounds ridiculous, but trusting Facebook to know who to deliver your ad to is probably one of the best decisions that you can make as an online marketer.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, if you're signing up to a platform such as Facebook and you're putting out things out there about your life, you're liking different pages, you're making statuses about what you've done at the weekend, that data is going to be read somewhere. And it's the algorithm, it's the back end of Facebook. And so it's the best place that for you to, at the moment, I would say definitely the best place for you to advertise online with regards to making sure you're actually hitting a really targeted audience.
Well, as far as Facebook is concerned, knowing about you and me, there's no doubt that they know more about us than anybody, probably including our spouses. But what they don't know is how to communicate what they offer very effectively, because the confusion that reigns when any neophyte starts to look at Facebook ads themselves is just it's legendary as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Like when I think I'm a fairly savvy guy. I've got 30 years of television and radio. I understand the advertising marketplace. I understand the broadcast marketplace. I understand all of those sorts of things. But I go into Facebook ads and I feel like a 3-year-old that's having to suddenly read a complicated book on chemistry. And maybe I'm overstating it, but I find it really intimidating. Just talking about the hierarchy, the ad types that they offer. It's like, I just want to tell people to visit my webinar. Yeah. There's all these things. So can you take us through the structure, the structure?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, with Facebook, we're starting from the top. I mean, with Facebook, you have the business manager, which is essentially the host of or everything you do within Facebook when it comes to running ads. Oh, nice, you've got this pop-up. So we have business manager at the top. This is like the umbrella. And you create anyone can create a business manager account. You just go to business.facebook.com. You can create that account. Inside there, you have your advert manager, and that's where you essentially manage all of your ad accounts. If you're a marketing agency, you'll have a different ad account for every client that you have to keep it nice and clean. If you're just doing it for yourself, you'll just have one ad account. So then you have your ad account there, which is essentially hosting all of your ads. And then from there, you have your campaigns, which are essentially this is the objective that you're choosing. This is what are we actually trying to do when we're trying to run an advert? Are we trying to drive traffic to somewhere? Are we trying to get some likes and comments to run an engagement advert? What are we essentially trying to achieve? That's what the campaign is. Then we have our ad set, which is our targeting. So what is the exact audience that we're trying to reach? Where are they in the world? What are they interested in? Have they visited our website before, et cetera, et cetera? And then finally, we have the actual ad. That's the creative. It's what it visually looks like on the platform. So yeah, there's
all I wanted to get to was the damn ad.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. But the issue is that it's more so the perception that people have with Facebook ads. I think that Facebook make the platform look a lot more complicated than it actually is. To get return on investment for your own business or for a client's business is a lot easier than a lot of people make out, because there's so many bells and whistles and buttons and audiences and all that stuff, when actually you can run a pretty simple strategy and get some pretty great results. I'm sure we'll come on to that later on today.
Okay, so this entire infrastructure that Facebook has created around it is, do you always enter it from top to bottom? Like when you most Facebook gives us multiple points of entry as well. And do we have to pay attention to that as we start? Like, do most people start in the Business Manager, or do most people start with just the straight up boosting of posts and then backdoor into this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, there is that side of things. So boosting a post is essentially, that's the dumbed down version of running Facebook ads. So like anybody who has no experience whatsoever can click a button, run some really simplified adverts in their local area. The problem is with boosted posts is they're actually limited to engagement adverts. So they're essentially just posts which are going to be seen by local people in a bid to get likes, comments, shares, and engagement, opposed to getting conversions and actual sales. But if you're trying to run Facebook ads for the first time, go to the Business Manager, create your account. It's going to take you straight away to the Ads Manager anyway. And then after that, the only thing you need to worry about is your campaigns, your ad sets, and your ads.
Okay, so let's talk about the type of ads that we can create first. We'll try and create from something tangible, and we'll deal with the esoteric in a minute. So what type? So ads that we've got. Let me see if I can remember off the top, and I've got some notes here. So you got video ads. We've got static, just image ads, which are the ones that we're kind of, those that began in Facebook ads would have played with. Carousel ads, which are multiple videos, and something called bumper ads, which I don't even know what the heck that is. Are those the ones that go in the sidebar?
Oh, yeah, no, they'd be the ones that, there'd be ones on the side, like on Marketplace or on the news feed.
Got it. So those are bumper ads. Okay. So video ads does the kind of common sense work? Are video ads the most effective type of ad to run on Facebook?
Do you know what? Asked me that question a year and a half ago, and I would say yes, video ads definitely always are the best, but it depends on what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get that initial reaction from someone, and you're trying to get that initial cold audience to see your product or your offering for the first time, video is 100% the way to go. When you then go to actually try and go direct and hard in on the conversion, so you're trying to retarget somebody who maybe has visited your website, then you want to hit them with something simple like an image. But a video is definitely the way to go if you're trying to hit a cold audience.
That's something that's so important, I think, for us to understand in Facebook ads, is the goal of what we're paying to promote is going to dictate the type of media that we're creating. And I don't think that most people think this through. That Facebook, we pay money at the top end of the funnel when we're still trying to create awareness of even who we are or what the message is. And we pay money right through the whole funnel down to the bottom when we get them to click and do the action that we started this whole process in. And recognizing where we are in that funnel is really crucial. And do you think that a lot of people get lost in it and they just go to that bottom of that funnel to begin with, and that's where they start?
100%. The problem is with most people who run Facebook ads is they watch one video or whatever and just take this blanket strategy that lots of people put out online. When anybody who's running Facebook ads needs to pick the lowest hanging fruit. It's like, if I'm getting existing traffic, then I should go right in with retargeting stuff. If I'm a startup business, then I need to have these brand awareness videos explaining my product, or these kind of have a little bit of virality about them. So you really do need to work out at what stage you are in that funnel, because some people have enough traffic and they don't even realize it, that Facebook ads could just be the cherry on top of the cake.
Yeah, that's and that to me is a big part of the confusion and so consequently so many people start out and they waste money in their campaigns because they don't have the right outcome that they've planned.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's people forget what they already have to utilize. They forget what weapons they already have in their arsenal when they're running Facebook ads. They don't have to start right from the start as if a startup company would, or as if a company with no traffic or no data would have to do.
So let's look at kind of the broad strokes. So speaking broadly, video ads are going to be best for getting a message out, but not necessarily creating an action, creating a conversion. A conversion being registering for your webinar, signing up for your list builder, or purchasing. But video ads, creating videos which create they're best at informing the Facebook audience of who you are and what you do. Is that fair?
I mean, I would say so, but video, it's one of those things that's like the Facebook ad or any advertising world is it depends on the individual circumstance, because there could be some products, like if you're like a fitness PT, when you want to run videos all the way through because you're trying to show what you do and what you're capable of and the happy customers that you've got. And so in that case, running retargeting right at the bottom of the funnel with a video would still work really, really well. For
sure.
But as a generalized statement, videos work well for that brand awareness stage.
Got it. And there's so many there's so many types of video you can create. You can create the summary videos. You can do just like any animated ad is really a video. It could be just text and graphics, the sort that are so easy to create with a tool like InVideo, all the way through to fully produced video ads.
Yeah, absolutely.
But of course, we do know there's one key to them, right? And that is they're silent. So we have to have the text. You have to caption them. Is that
no? What, on Facebook? They're not. They have audio. You have full audio on Facebook.
I know, but nobody watches them with audio as it goes through their feed.
No, but if you create the I think if you create the advert correctly in a way that it's grabbing enough attention, you're going to click on it and then it starts. Then you get the audio.
Okay, so you don't insist on all of your ads that you have closed captioning.
Definitely not.
Oh,
no. So some of my best converting ads at the moment don't have captions at all.
Son of a gun. See, one of my preconceived notions blown away, or you're completely wrong. One or the other. I don't know, but I suspect you're probably right, and I just had a preconceived notion that was wrong. Okay, so now what about these carousel ads? They again intimidate me. Like, oh, what's going to show? When's it going to show? How do I tell the story in a carousel ad?
So a carousel ad is really great for multi-product brands. So let's say you're an e-commerce store, you have multiple products that you want to sell. Maybe it's clothing or something like that. You can scroll, you can have multiple images on there or multiple videos, and you can scroll through and you can have a look at all the different products. And that's just a really great way. I mean, carousel ads work really well using a campaign type called a dynamic product ad. And what this is that's those pesky ads that when you go over to maybe a clothing website or garden furniture or whatever website you've ever gone on, and you come back to Facebook later on, and all of a sudden that exact same item that you looked at is stalking you on Facebook. Yeah. So a carousel ad can be really great for one of those companies where you've been looking at multiple products, you come home, and all of a sudden those same products are waiting for you to say, hey, look, you looked at me earlier, but you didn't buy me.
Do you dovetail, or do you kind of focus carousel ads on product, or can you tell a story in a series of slides like you would say in Instagram with a series of slides and a series of posts?
Yeah, absolutely. So away from dynamic product ads, you do a carousel ad as like almost like info. You can have like infographics going through them, but you have to make sure that your text is less than 20% because Facebook will shoot your ad down if you have more than 20% text on your adverts.
Still,
yeah.
That's so
it's annoying.
Frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
Because that used to be the thing. It used to, can I get this under 20%? People try and figure out ways to do it, putting a sign in the background. Oh,
yeah,
geez.
yeah.
Okay, so that's good to know. Now, in straight up graphic ads, still lots of value there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, really, really good.
And their best ad for conversion. And bumper ads, are they relating to our previous campaigns, or are they ones that we create from scratch?
I mean, to be honest with you, I've found them to be the most least effective adverts that we've ran. And so we actually tend to avoid running the like kind of sidebar ads or anything like that as placements. I wouldn't say like they're not like a standalone ad. That's just kind of like a placement. So you can kind of choose when you create any advert, it doesn't matter what the campaign is, you can choose where you want these ads to be seen on Facebook, whether you want them to be pre-roll adverts for videos or whatever similar to YouTube. But I tend to avoid them because of the fact that as a Facebook marketer, you want, or even Instagram, you want your adverts to look like organic posts. And the only real place for them to look organic is on the newsfeed. And so I try to avoid bumper ads because I don't find them anywhere near as effective when it comes to actually trying to make sales, because you're not really looking at that part of your screen. I don't know about you, but I don't really look over there when I'm on Facebook.
No, and also I recognize, just because of whatever, the resistance to being marketed to means that anything over there I realize inherently is marketing. There's no way organic content can be over there.
Yeah.
So right away I'm saying, no, I'm not in shopping mode. I'm looking for what's happening in my friends and family. So, the ads that do appear, I can't avoid them, but I can avoid casting my eyes over there. So that makes total sense. So we've got all of these different formats of ads now, and we've got a little bit of an understanding of the different mechanisms that get us into there. What about the actual content itself, the actual creation of content? When you start to talk to a new client, what makes your ears perk up? Like, what of their challenges, what of their content challenges makes your ears perk up when you go, oh, have we got an answer for you?
Yeah, so I think the biggest mistake that people make, and certainly what we always consider when we're running ads for anyone, is the people think that they can just throw up like an image or something like that, or any kind of random video of a product, without actually putting thought into why it is you produce that bit of content in the first place. So for example, if you're selling like an e-commerce based product, like it's any kind of online product, you always want to have some kind of video which is demonstrating that product in its best light. It's I don't know, actually one of the clients that we're taking on today is a freestanding hand sanitization unit. And so in light of everything that's going on at the moment. And so we're going to show that in use, someone walking into a restaurant, they're using this freestanding automatic hand sanitization unit, and you can actually see the benefit of that product in all of its glory, instead of just having some random image of that, like some kind of stocky almost looking image that isn't going to convert well. So I think the key is making people feel like they already have that product, or making them feel like the person in the video who is demonstrating that product. And so it's really key when you are creating content that you're really putting thought into how are you going to reflect that in its best light, and how people you're going to create that desire for people to actually want it. We once ran ads for electric skateboards, and so we had this really fast-paced promotional video with this electric skateboard and someone going to work, and it worked exceptionally well. But we could have just had an image which was static, which for a product which has a lot of movement within it, so it wouldn't have made any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, for sure. And so in a product like an electric skateboard, it's the motion and the cool appeal and all of those sorts of things are part of it. But for your hand sanitizer, I think that the classic advertising kind of mantra of finding people's pain and then giving them relief from their pain, solving problems for them. That seems to me like an ideal opportunity to build that particular narrative. I've always think people don't have a lot of pain around their skateboarding unless they fall down. But as far as now dealing with the pandemic, dealing with people coming in, dealing with the overarching issues of remaining safe, but also the underlying issue of generating trust in your business so that people are coming back in the door. A lot of pain points can be solved through a product like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's an exciting campaign to be going on. That's starting up for you now.
It should be good. Yeah, we're starting that up. We're just going to make sure that we can actually do that, because a lot of the platforms have got lots of bans on products like that at the moment. So
yeah, Facebook does throw up a lot of limitations. They just took off stuff about they just took off some of the binders I saw about for some of the pandemic advertising.
Face masks and things like that, I think you can advertise now.
Yeah, you can start to advertise now, which will cause a lot of consternation in other areas.
Yeah.
When people think about Facebook ads, the next thing other than the content itself, which is, I think, a challenge that most companies are pretty comfortable overcoming, the mindset of the audience that you go to and your partnership with Facebook in finding your ideal customer audience. Would you say that's almost the secret sauce in making Facebook ads successful, is how you identify who that audience is, how you identify who's targeting, how you work with Facebook within their system to make sure they have the information they need to get your content in front of the right people?
The key that we've found with audiences, and actually the number one mistake that 90% of marketers out there make with targeting, is that, let's say I'm working with putting me on the spot. Let's say we're working with like the electric skateboard, for example. I wouldn't target people. Most marketers will be like, right, if I'm selling an electric skateboard, I'm going to target people, actually, let's say the gym. We're working in the gym. I'm going to target people who are into fitness, or I'm going to target people who are into gyms. Now, the problem is you're targeting the existing audience already. So these are people that probably already signed up to a gym. But that's the mistake that people make. I'm not going to target people who like electric skateboards, because the likelihood is they've probably already got an electric skateboard. I'm going to think of audiences which are outside the box. Who are the people who are related or who have the potential to be the customers? So somebody who is into electric skateboarding, they could have, I don't know, they could like normal skateboarding, and they could like rollerblading, or they could like sports in general, more generalized, bigger
urban dwellers who ride bikes to work, and the places that people are going to be, where the skateboard's going to replace another mode of transport, because an electric skateboard is almost a mode of transport as opposed to an entertainment tool, right?
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's about thinking outside the box, not going for the whatever audience you think is the most obvious, because that's where you're going to be spending sky high money on the adverts, because that's what all of the competitors are going for. You want to be going for the unorthodox audiences. It's like our academy. We don't target people who are into social media marketing to join our training program. We target people who are into sales, because salespeople are likely to want to start their own business. So by rule of averages, I'm taking myself as an example from my mentality back when I was in sales, and I'm targeting myself 2 years ago before I launched my agency, and we have a lot of success doing that.
So this conversation of who your ideal avatar is always a challenge, and a lot of people get really stuck on the conversation. For businesses that have been around for any period of time, does the fact that you already have traffic, do you look at the existing traffic to their site as that preaching to the choir stuff of advertising gyms to people who are already into fitness? And do you look for kind of blue ocean audiences, or are those new users, are those best users already in their audience?
So what I find is, the first thing we do when we work with any client is we work out what audiences we have available straight away. So we have what's called lookalike audiences on Facebook. So Facebook will find people who are similar to an existing audience.
And let's take people back to the mechanisms that everybody should have in place, whether they're advertising or not, in order to make sure that they have these audiences when they need them. And that all starts with your pixel, right?
Absolutely. So you install a Facebook pixel.
Walk us through what it is and how it fits.
Of course. So a Facebook pixel is a small piece of code which goes into the header of your website. If your website is made on any of the main builders like WordPress, Wix, Squarespace, or any of them, you don't even have to install that code. Facebook pretty much does it for you. There's the little number you input on the back end. That code essentially tracks what people do. It's a cookie that tracks what people do on your website, how they behave, what links they're clicking on, what products they're buying. So it not only means that when you come over to Facebook, you can build up a database of people, of potential customers, and you can use that data later on to retarget and remarket. But also you can work out exactly how many pennies are being spent from Facebook on your website.
Yeah. Now, so that audience, so this pixel is so important, because not only does it identify the individuals who are coming to your site now, who you can then run ads directly to later, but it also identifies the characteristics of those people, so that Facebook can then find similar people to market to in the future. It's really, in a lot of ways, it's the key to the Magic Kingdom.
Lookalike audiences are honestly, they are the holy grail of Facebook advertising. If we have a client who we work with who has an existing pixel on their website, they've got existing traffic, we will not even touch interest-based targeting. We will solely rely on lookalike-based audiences.
Okay, so explain what that term means. Interest-based marketing is just what we were talking about a few moments ago, right?
Yeah. So on Facebook, you can either decide, you can target people based on their geolocation. So if I'm living in Norwich in the UK, I can target people in a certain mile radius or kilometer radius from my city. So that's what we call geo-targeting.
Great.
Exactly. Yeah. Great. So then we have interest-based targeting. So, for example, if we are a gym and we want to target people who maybe are into some kind of, maybe it's a martial arts gym or something, and we want to target people who are into other kind of martial arts, related martial arts, then we can do that by using interest-based targeting. Facebook get that data from what pages people have liked, what statuses they've put up. It's whatever they've done on the platform, what behaviors they've found. Then on top of that, we have our custom audiences. So we have our retargeting audiences such as we can retarget our website traffic. We can retarget our existing email list if we want to, which we can upload into Facebook. And we can retarget our lookalike audience. So not retarget, we can use our lookalike audience, which is essentially, as I just mentioned, it's Facebook. Let's say I give them 1,000 people on an audience. And I say, Facebook, I want you to find other people, millions of other people who are similar to these 1,000 people, and it'll basically cross-reference all similarities that it can find between these 1,000 people and find people who are similar to those. Which, honestly, when you've got existing, let's say you're selling a product and you have 1,000 customers who have already bought your product, and you're leaving Facebook to find another 1 or 2 million of those people when they're similar to your existing audience, that is the best audience you're ever going to find on your adverts. It's without a doubt the highest converting.
So do your eyes just light up like a kid at Christmas when you start to interview a new client who had the foresight to install a pixel on their site 2 years ago but have done nothing with it?
It's a game changer because it means to me that I can get them return on investment from day one.
And you say that with total confidence.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's the exciting part. So many people spend money and lose money on Facebook ads, and they're left with a bad, sour taste in their mouth because it's easy to spend a lot of money very, very quickly on Facebook ads if you don't know what you're doing. But if you've just put that one thing in place of having a pixel on your site, generating traffic through your normal business, collecting the information that Facebook is going to need to ultimately retarget those people and find similar people. That to me, it's very important. Just to highlight, just on that before we move on, if anyone's watching this and you haven't installed a pixel on your website, obviously you can go and do that, but it's not the end of the world, because what you can also do, if you have a list of existing customers on your database, people have already bought your product, you can actually upload that list onto Facebook. And if you've got a lot of data, that audience can be just as good as having Facebook pixel data to create a lookalike from. And then the sophistication starts to come in. I mean, we've talked, that pixel at the beginning is going to create lookalike audiences, but then you get into the stuff that's really fascinating, which is how you retarget. And I see a lot of Facebook ads experts now doing processes that I used to think we only did in email retargeting, where you'll actually track who sees this ad and then send them the next ad based on whether they've seen this ad, and you actually walk them through a very similar sequence of messaging as we would have done in a traditional email sequence, knowing who's opened the email, who's clicked within the email, who's not, and then putting them through. So you can build some really, really sophisticated back ends to specific people, not just, so advertising we think of as global advertising, but this retargeting word to me is something that anybody coming from traditional business needs to recognize, that you're not just putting a sign up on an ad up on TV or an ad on radio. You're saying this radio spot is going to appear in your customer's drive home, and it's going to be in this car with this person listening to it. You can get that granular.
100%. Retargeting is the number one thing that holds up any ad account. We're so confident in when we work with companies who have existing traffic and existing sales that we will get them return on investment. We guarantee return on investment within the first 30 days on their retargeting stuff. And we've never ever failed that, and anybody watching this, anybody who has existing traffic, existing sales, who has not got retargeting adverts set up on Facebook is leaving thousands of pounds on the table. And I say that with absolute confidence. Because there are people out there who have looked at your product, looked at your service, and for whatever reason, maybe the kids came home or they got distracted or they had a call, they came off your website, and there's nothing telling them to come back on if you don't have a retargeting ad set up.
Yeah. It's like the old sales. You call and then you call and you follow up. You do the follow up. Yeah. Facebook does that for you at a really reasonable cost. But here's the thing: it doesn't do any good if you can't measure it and get reports and know that you're having the analytics becomes absolutely essential, right? And being able to read those analytics. So what's not, if you can measure it, if you can actually, you can make it perform. So talk to me about where we sit. Like, does the average client look at their analytics, or do you just give them reports? And how much time do you spend in the analytics?
Yeah, I mean, we analyze ads our ads guys analyze ads every 3 days. So every 3 days we look at an ad. So if you're launching an advert, so if any of you watching this are planning on launching your first advert for the first time after this, don't worry about that advert for the first 3 days. Let it optimize.
So hard to do.
Yeah, it is. It's really hard, especially if it's wasting money. But on that third day, we normally say it's a rule of averages. It's like 2 to 4 days. So we say 3 in the middle. It takes for Facebook to actually optimize. And I always explain it like it's like a fishing lake. And Facebook are casting this rod in this fishing lake all day. And they're doing it for 3 days until they catch fish. When they catch fish, they know that the shoal of fish is there. So it's going to continue casting in the same place. But it might take them 3 days to do that. And by that time, it's optimized. Yeah, they know where the fish are, exactly.
And over time, the fish will move, so the ad's going to have to retarget. Or not retarget, that's a bad word.
Re-optimize.
So that comes down to what I said right off the top of our show today, is faith that Facebook knows how to do this better than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And that they will get to you. So for all of our maybe personal distaste, and I'm speaking for myself, I'm not speaking for you, but personal distaste for how much of our private information Facebook is gathering and all of the challenges we have accepting this loss of privacy, recognizing that in this particular case, Facebook is really, really good at knowing how to use that and knowing how to get the message in front of the right person. That's a leap of faith that once you're past that, you're just a week away from success, basically, from whatever it is you're trying. If you have that week and that patience.
Definitely, absolutely. I mean, I think what the thing to consider is that you can't rely on Facebook or just presume that Facebook can get you incredible results by you making an advert and just kind of doing it blind. If you have the right fishing rod and you have picked the right lake, then you're going to be making money, right? But if the fish aren't there, or if you haven't picked the right rod, then you're not going to, right? You're just not going to. And so you need to make sure that you do have a good creative. You need to make sure that you are targeting the right audience and really just following a basic strategy. I always say that it doesn't matter what you're selling, any kind of e-commerce brand or anyone really. If you work on just a 2-step brand awareness versus conversion strategy. So you have one advert, essentially you've got 2 adverts. One advert, which is brand awareness of some sort. It's just like an engagement advert or even a traffic advert still, but with a video. Let's say we're explaining a product or something. It's a product demo. And we then retarget people who've used that video with a conversion advert in a bid to get them to actually buy that product. Then that's just a simple 2-step strategy where you're actually doing something which is proven to work over multiple thousands of companies on Facebook. And you're not just going in blind. You've got a much higher chance of actually Facebook doing what it is that you want them to do. I think that the most important thing is just not going in blind. And you look at content online which will teach you strategies such as my YouTube or whatever. But just don't presume Facebook are going to make you money when you haven't done your due diligence in the first place. Do you know what I'm getting at?
You still got to go through the process. So let me put you on the spot and ask you a tough question. And this one's just between you and me, because you sell or is this a free or is this a paid course? This Facebook?
No, that's a YouTube video actually. That's
it's just a video.
I think that ranks number 1 on Google for Facebook ads.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a little course. So do you think that you've got a video that's ranked on it? Do you think that people can do their own Facebook ads, can run their own campaigns?
That video is a completely free video on YouTube. It's around 50 minutes long. I literally teach every single thing that you should click on with your mouse on how to run your first Facebook ad today for free, completely free.
They can. Do
Absolutely.
You think they should?
If they have the time. So this is the thing. People think, right, I've got a free Saturday morning. I'm going to set a Facebook ad up. They forget about it for 5 days and they don't optimize it every 3 days or so, or whatever. They don't change or test out audience. They get impatient with it and give up on it. If you have the time within your business to actually be running Facebook ads, you should do it yourself. If you don't and you're rushed off your feet, you should get an agency or somebody within the team to do it for you.
And see, I'm kind of the opinion that nobody should do it, because if you've got that kind of time, you should be spending it on your product and what you're good at, and let the singers sing and let the dancers dance. Find a good agency, pay them a small amount or a large amount. We'll talk about how much it costs. But I think that if you've got that kind of spare time, that there's something wrong. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about cost now. Let's talk about cost of return. Now it's difficult, of course, because it's how long is a piece of string.
Yeah.
But what sort of like of the campaigns that you're working with, are there some that have just had an incredible return on investment and some that are just, I think that there's some that are the ones that we dream of. And if you could, I don't know, can you give me an example of like return on investment where somebody's?
Yeah, I mean, I always say that. I mean, if you're getting like a 3 times return on investment, you're doing a really great job. And as like a rule of thumb, I mean, always aim for like 3. But I mean, hand on heart, since the start of what's going on in the world, because everyone's been at home, we actually signed up a home garden furniture company who got 85 times return on investment over the course of 3 months, and they spent the best part of 10 grand on advertising. So they've had colossal returns, but that's like so unheard of in the advertising world. If you're getting 3 times, you're doing something right.
And the thing is, at that point there, if you're getting a 3-time return on investment, which means you're spending a lot of money on Facebook ads, if you stop and think about it, for almost any product, but you can rely on this as a almost like it goes from being an art of building ads that are going to reach the people. It turns to science pretty quickly, which is just accounting. If I invest this much over this month, I will get this much in return. And then you look at your back end of how well you can support those customers and what your goals are, because it's a faucet that you can turn on or off. It's just, you have to make sure that the basin will contain the water and all of those sorts of things. At least that's the way that I look at it. So that it starts with art, but it ends with science.
Definitely, I would agree with that. I think the key thing is not to get overwhelmed with it. Don't spend too much money too quickly. Spend £5 a day per advert. That's more than enough for you to at least be able to look at the data. And even if you're selling a £100 product or $100 product, the likelihood of you getting a $5 per purchase is pretty slim. But within those 3 days, you've spent $15. You may have got a purchase. If you don't, you can still then look at the list data. You can look at if your cost per click is relatively good. If it's under $1, then you're doing pretty well. You can look at whether your click-through rate is pretty good. If it's under 3%, you're doing pretty well. Or you could look at your cost per 1,000 impressions. So you can look at smaller data. You don't need to spend what your target cost per purchase is on a daily basis. You can start really low and at least then get an idea of what creatives and which audiences are responding well to your adverts.
Okay. I'm just checking my notes to see what we're supposed to do.
Good.
Have I missed anything that you...
No. I've just had a couple of, on the private chat, there's a couple of questions which I think...
good. Let's make sure that we get those, because I have gone through a lot. Okay, got him here. Okay, sure. Ariel wants to know, any insights to the special categories like housing where targeting is very limited?
This is probably the one question that I would address again. Well, because I don't work with real estate agents or anything within my agency. I actively avoid them because I used to work for them in my corporate sales job, so I have this deep down begrudgment for them. But we won't get into that. But housing targeting wise, if you're targeting people, I think the key thing when you're targeting in real estate is you do have interests such as recently moved or new house buyer or homeowner, so you can use those interests. And when you are doing anything like that and you're doing anything geo-target based and it's with regards to real estate or housing, make sure that you target people who only live in an area. You don't want to target people who are passing through because they could be on holiday and you could waste a lot of money.
Okay. Here's one. How many actions on your pixel do you need to be able to create lookalike audiences effectively?
Okay, so how many people essentially do you need to have data? How many data points do you need? You don't want to be doing anything if you've got less than 100. You don't want to be certainly don't want to be creating lookalike audiences. Ideally, it wants to be 1,000 or above, because you got to think the more data you have, the more accurate those lookalike audiences are going to be, because there's more people to cross-reference. So minimum of 100, ideally 1,000 plus. Okay,
and the other thing to do is to recognize that when you set up a Facebook campaign, when you start to run Facebook ads, all of your other social media marketing skills don't get usurped. It is going to, for the most part, it's going to work really nicely in conjunction with a rich campaign. So if if you're building towards a knowledge sale, having list builders where you're building trust, where you're building engagement with people over time, that makes those things all still kind of come into play. I will ask you a question. What about, we've talked a lot about traffic from your lookalike audiences and stuff from your pixel, but what about the ongoing value of the interest-based targeting within Facebook, where you recognize you have a competitor and you target their audience, or you've got a community like we've got our gray wave community, our gray zone of all these baby boomers. Well, they provide a really good basis as well, especially if you've got a good active Facebook group. Are those assets that you kind of really get excited about when you start to recognize?
Unfortunately, you can't create audiences based off a Facebook group at the moment, which is really annoying. I wish you could. But so that's like, it's great for organic strategy. Facebook groups on a completely different topic are amazing for organic. But when it comes to ads, the assets you really want to look out for, I would just say existing customer audience or existing traffic for your pixel. Your page, if you've got genuine likes on your page, that can be really great. I mean, not a lot of companies do have genuine likes these days, so do not create a lookalike audience of your page if you've been doing the naughty and buying some likes. But if you do have genuine fans on your page, then you can create lookalikes from people who like your page. You can create lookalikes of people who like or engage with your recent posts as well. So
that is, now can you create lookalikes from competitors from any page?
No, you can't create lookalikes from competitors, but you can just target, if they're big enough pages, you can target the people that like that page.
Okay, my cat is going crazy. My cat's decided Shannon's upstairs. Just go see Shannon if you want something. Seriously,
wants to be involved.
In our house, do you have pets?
Not here, no.
Oh, okay. Well, our cat loves my wife more than it loves me. She'll sit in Shannon's lap all day, but when she wants to be fed or done anything to, I'm like servant boy, and Shannon is love person. It's ridiculous. It's just like, I have expectations. You should serve me. So I'm being distracted by my cat. Anybody with cats knows exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So that's really interesting. The rules end up frustrating people an awful lot, then, don't they? When with the things that you think you should be able to do, and then you go and do that and you proceed. So making sure that you're on firm ground as you're building your campaign, as you're making your decisions in advance, that you can actually run ads to the group that you want, or you can actually get access to that audience. That's something that's research that should be done.
I think talking of research, though, I just saw something come through, which I think is really important to add. Is you can learn about what your competitors are actually doing, or how they are marketing at the moment on Facebook very easy. Facebook have this transparency policy now, where we can see exactly what adverts our competitors are actually running. So, Steve, if you were running any adverts on Facebook at the moment, I would actually be able to see the exact adverts you had on your back end, because I wouldn't be able to see the audiences, but I would be able to see what the adverts actually look like. Because if you go over to any Facebook page, on the right hand side there's this thing called page transparency. If you click that, it takes you to the Facebook ad library, or it'll tell you if there's any ads running, and you can then physically see the actual adverts any company is running. So if you're a restaurant and you want to see what your competitors are doing, what offers they're running, you can have a look at that. If you're an e-commerce store and you want to see what your biggest competitors across the pond are doing, then you can have a look what adverts they're running. So you can learn very quickly from the big dogs what is working on at the moment and what isn't.
That's why we see the trends catch on so quickly. Of a style of ad will all of a sudden be, and there'll be one, and you'll think, oh, that's interesting. Then before you know it, everybody's doing it. Yeah, they're actually there's a tool to help us recognize that. That is so cool. That you spend a lot of time doing that.
Yeah, well, I don't so much myself personally anymore, but the team doing it all the time. We're always looking at other people's adverts. So,
good stuff. I think we've covered everything. Thank you so much. This has been tremendously. You've opened my eyes. You've got me thinking about a couple of different things, and I know that you've given us all lots of food for thought. Facebook ads aren't going away anytime soon. Oh, I will throw one other question out with you. Facebook, so often when you run ads, they ask you whether or not you want to target their other properties, specifically Instagram. Is that something that is just a given, that you advertise that you take advantage of Facebook advertising to those platforms, or is that something that you turn off, or is it a case-by-case basis?
It's a case-by-case, because you've got to look at your demographic. And like, if you're a clothing store, streetwear, something like that, definitely Instagram's your place. If you are a corporate lawyer, you don't need to advertise on Instagram. So you've got to look at the demographics. Instagram's an image conscious, generally younger based audience. And so you want to really be mindful of that with your product. So if it's something which is like aesthetic, then you want to advertise on Instagram as well. If it's something more formal, then you genuinely can avoid the platform.
Good stuff. Jordan, This has been a pleasure. I'm going to get you, just hold on for a sec. I'll debrief with you in just a second. Let me take care of our promos for next week and let people know what's coming up. But on behalf of everybody, thank you so much. This has been super informative.
No worries at all. A pleasure.
Yeah, hang on for a second there. And with that, I am going to let everybody know that coming up next week on Just Between You and Me, this is a good friend of mine, a good personal friend of mine, who is a bundle of energy like nobody's business. Sue B. Zimmerman, the Instagram queen. I don't know if anybody has a bigger presence on Instagram as far as teaching people how to use Instagram, but she has figured out Instagram for business, building your brand, building your business. Sue knows Instagram like nobody's business. So Sue is going to be joining us. Now, full disclosure, Sue and I are quite good friends, and we are kind of each other's accountability partner, where we dive into each other's business. So there might be some inside baseball, and she'll probably end up teasing me a little bit, busting my chops, because we do very little on Instagram in my brand at Dottotech, and it drives Sue crazy. Just between you and me, I don't do the stuff on Instagram as much as she wants, just to drive her crazy, but don't tell her. That's just between you and me. Thanks to everybody at InVideo. Thanks to all of you folks who have added to the comments in chat back and forth. Make sure that you check out Jordan. Oh, let me put up his website because I have it here. Let me put up his website right there. You can check him out at affluent.co/academy, where you can learn more about the different. They've got a social media managers training academy there, so you can learn about, because as you can see, he holistically is looking at the entire world of the online business. So I encourage you to jump over there and have a look as well. That is it. We will wrap things up here today for this week's Just Between You and Me. Till next week with Sue B. Zimmerman. I thank you all for your time. Till then, have fun storming a castle.